Jack and Marc Show presents the tale of the recluse who haunted an abandoned tire plant factory. I bought the old Uniroyal factory.
You got that inheritance from your uncle?
He used to work there. He was a foreman there for 30 years. He never left the factory. They laid everyone off. It all moved to Mexico. So I was able to buy it from this used car salesman who also has a side in real estate. And it's no questions asked. The last thing my uncle said to the guy in HR who laid him off, he said, "Just a minute, I've got to go find my lunch." And he never returned.
He's an employee of ours now.
There has been mysterious plumes of smoke coming from the one chimney, though, at times. Some people in the neighborhood get some mysterious tires as all wrapped up in burlap. My uncle used to always say, "Put your money where your balls are," because he didn't trust banks. He kept all his money in his pants.
But didn't he also invent something? If you have a big, thick wallet, anybody would be able to feel it when they frisk you.
That was his money suit, and it literally was a skin-tight suit that you inserted all the bills.
He really took a hit worded to the loony.
He always liked to go for canoe trips in Algonquin Park. His canoe wouldn't stay afloat anymore.
He got robbed once, I heard, because he had all the loonies and toonies up and down his body and they were clanking together, and he was mugged because the thieves heard it.
He used to wear bells around his neck, trying to camouflage it. He was not one to give up on an idea.
And he had figured eventually the $5 bills were going to become coins then, and that's when he kind of got despondent.
He'd get despondent. And let's not mention the time when he had to go to the junk dealer and get some new headlights for his Volvo. From 25 feet, he was sucked right up to the top of that magnet. Oh man, he almost got put into the compactor until they realized that he was stuck on the bottom of the big magnetic disc of this crane.
Well, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That's it. I'm not doing this anymore.
He's still alive, you know. He's somewhere in that Uniroyal plant. Gutenberg Bible, yeah.
Yeah, we had a version of that.
Oh yeah, the one printed by Gutenberg.
Gutenberg.
Yes, Gutenberg. He tried to print a Bible, and it had so many spelling mistakes in it.
It was horrible.
All his S's were F's.
That's right. Well, he had a lisp, eh?
Oh, that's why.
That's why
he wrote his lisp in.
Yeah, he wrote the lisp in.
That's because he couldn't write it. He dictated
it
to his sister.
Yeah.
And she.
What was her name?
Because
she got married, right?
But Gutenberg was his first name.
Well, that was his first name.
Yeah, he was Gutenberg.
He was Gutenberg.
Yeah, because he was Gutenberg's cousin.
Right. So and they had the same last name.
Yeah, he was Gutenberg.
Oh, okay.
And so his sister became Gutenberg. What was it?
Brunsey.
Oh, yeah, it was
Wasn't that Gutenberg Brunsey?
Gutenberg Brunsey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Once she got married, she got kind of depressed, and she.
Well, who wouldn't with a name like that?
Well, her husband apparently was only 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he didn't like her very much.
No.
He married her for her printing press. He's still alive, you know. He's somewhere in that Uniroyal plant.
Well, you think maybe we should go and have a look for him?
Now, I know he's a bit shy. He'll want to observe us first to see if he can trust us. But I guess he'll have to take a while to realize that he'll see that I'm his nephew.
Right? Well, doesn't he remember you at all?
Well, it's hard to say, you know. I mean, he's like a hermit, a recluse. He's like a holy man who retreated into the mountains, into a cave, and became wise. And he just did the same thing, except there was a Uniroyal tire plant. Well, you know, they used to call this hell here, where they pressed the tires. It was so hot. Most people couldn't handle it. Only people with a good ability to consume large quantities of water and have large pores sweat a lot.
Well, that was one of the requirements to get hired on in that place, was large pores. There was a big human rights protest against that. And a lot of people, when they first moved into a town, people were out of work, but they had small pores, so they weren't accepted.
Those were the small pore riots. People were rampaging through the street and trying to tear down the factory gateway because they had small pores. And then, of course, you know, the people with the big pores, they don't have compassion for the people with small pores. They were on the other side of the gate saying, look, it's the way it goes. If you have small pore, there's the door. They didn't care. They were heartless.
At the very same time, there was the Christie Pit riots were going on. So this riot was not as well known in Canadian history.
Christie Pit riots overshadowed the small poor riots.
Didn't eventually they, over time, as society got more and more sophisticated, they realized that they had to make some accommodations for the small poor people?
Did hire some small poor people in packaging where there was air conditioners.
Didn't they have a giant vat of ice, and the small poor people could jump into the vat of ice and work for 10 or 15 minutes? Not really much of an accommodation. You have to go in a bath of ice to be on the same footing as the large poor people.
I know, and all your clothes get wet. They were complaining. Your clothes are getting ruined. They have to wear a bathing suit to work.
It was called the Small Poor War.
Yeah, it was the Small Poor War. The big poors, they started just increasing the temperature in the factory.
That just drove them out.
Yeah, just drove them out. The small poors had to leave. That's the way of industry. Very unfair. You either got big poors or you got small poors.
And what are the medium poor people? One day they'd be in support of the small poor people. One day they'd be supporting the big poor people.
Eventually, they all got jobs as accountants.
Nowadays, big poors are a drawback.
It's a drawback when it gets cold. It's hard to retain body heat. I think that's one of the reasons my uncle stayed in the factory. It was the kind of climate that he was used to because this guy had huge pores. I hear a clanging.
Downstairs, so we go down and see what's going on there.
Look at that. There's coals. He was here. Well, her husband apparently was only 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he didn't like her very much.
No,
He only married her for her printing press.
Right. The problem was it wasn't a printing press. It was a print-in press.
Her husband thought she was pressing books, and he wanted to write his autobiography about being in the World Height Challenge.
Right.
And then he realized that she was doing laundry. Yeah, she was printing T-shirts and pressing them. And then he got despondent and he left.
See, I thought it was just kind of hillbilly speak for printing.
No, that had nothing to do with the Billies from the hills.
Williams.
Williams?
No, Billy. William?
Oh, William.
Well, isn't Billy short?
Hill Willie.
No, isn't
Billy?
Billy?
The Hill Willies, not Hill Billies.
The Hill Lawrences. What's the nickname of Lawrence?
There's not much known about the Hillaries, because the Hillaries weren't as well known as Hillbillies.
No, that's true.
The Hillaries, they became despondent as well, but they wanted to write. They also wrote their book, and they got it pressed by Gutenberg. What was her last name again?
Brunsey.
Oh, Gutenberg Brunsey. So and then her husband got jealous too because she started spending too much time on the Hillaries' work. Well, the Hillaries mingled with the Hillwills, the Hillwillies.
Because Billy's
Hillwillies. It always ended with a Y. Hillwillies. The Hillwillies were actually quite an angry group. Oh, they were quite arrogant. Actually, right. They thought they had big willies. They would always go into town bragging, "Oh, here comes the Hillwillies," and they would actually expose themselves to prove that they had huge willies. And that's the story of the Hillwillies. Now the Hillaries, they weren't as famous.
The Hillaries were the small willies.
Well, that was unspoken, really.
Right.
Well, the Hillwillies once caught a Hillary swimming.
Didn't they pull him by the neck and see if he had a willy?
They did. Well, he did have a willy.
Oh, he did? The Larry had a willy?
No, Hillary did have a willy.
Right.
But he had just gotten out of a cold lake, and he had shrinkage.
Oh, they said...
Well, it wasn't very scientifically founded then.
Right. Shrinkage, is that what you said?
Shrinkage.
Right, shrinkage.
Well, that happens to everyone. Well, it's safety.
Oh, because if it's cold...
Your body pulls everything in to be safe. Because when it's cold, then there could be damage, frostbite, anything.
Right. So you want to get that thing inside where it's warm.
Just like any soldier, you retreat back into the trenches.
Or the foxhole.
Oh, the foxhole.
That's what they say about foxholes.
What do they say?
They say there's no atheists in a foxhole. So
you know who started that? The Hillberries.
The Hillberries.
The Hillberries were a very religious group.
Right.
And you notice something else? All these people lived in hills. You didn't find there was once found a lost Hillberry. He was incoherent.
And then wasn't there relatives of the Hillberries? That's the same thing, but it was spelled Berry. Bears got them.
Yeah, especially when they went out on Halloween.
That's right. Because they dressed up as berries.
Yeah, they thought it was a great pun.
Yeah.
And they dressed as a big berry. And then the bears would eat them.
And they never learned. And the last one.
They never learned.
No.
They didn't. In fact, they even tried to make that they would have the best hillbilly costume, and there was individuals would actually put all this juice in a big rubber costume around themselves.
Right.
And they'd actually put blueberry juice in it.
And that just killed them.
Well, they did. The bears, they just ripped that apart.
I know. It was embarrassing, you know. And then that's why the berries became the dominant sect of the hillberries. The berry, Barry.
I think that's one of the reasons my uncle stayed in the factory. It was the kind of climate that he was used to because this guy had huge pores. I hear a clanging.
Downstairs, so we go down and see what's going on there?
Look at that. There's coals. He was here. Look, he was doing experiments on rubber compounds.
And look at these different shapes of tires.
Thought there might be a better wheel than a round one. Since he could only make 4 tires a month, he wanted to make a tire compound that these tires, they don't wear out. And so the whole industry is against them. They want their tires to wear out. And that's why he's also in hiding, because he's got the Goodrich, Uniroyal, and Firestone, Michelin, espionage agents looking for him.
The thing is, the formula's only in his head.
That's right, he never wrote anything down. He thought it would be better that way.
He might be in grave danger.
He's probably afraid of everybody now. He might think that we're Ruskies. He's very paranoid. He doesn't have a phone. I don't think he watches television. I think he sends out clandestine letters. He uses pigeon.
Tried to carry your chickens for a while.
That's all he had on hand was a chicken. But fortunately, he was able to catch some pigeons. He's a lonely guy. Apparently, he's still pretty good looking, and he's quite popular with the ladies. He sends out love letters via these pigeons. Julia Roberts was getting these mysterious pink tires show up at her door. And, because that's good marketing, right, is to get a celebrity to use your product.
Well, the problem was the low production, right? 4 tires a month, he could send 4 tires to one celebrity, or he could send 1 tire to 4 celebrities.
I know. Well, he tried to spread it thinner that time. I remember he was just giving out spares. And he has been caught trying to smuggle his formula out to a mysterious confidant. Yeah, Eldorado Greenheart. He was an old buddy. He was smuggling out the pink rubber baby buggies.
But didn't Eldorado Greenheart have really skinny legs? So he could put the rubber around the legs and they would look like normal legs?
He could leap 20 feet in the air with those things. The military, of course, wanted those. It enables the soldiers to keep marching and carry greater weight.
There was a great battle that was fought.
Oh yeah, that was the great bounce fuck up. They were able to outbounce the enemy and terrorize them, be able to leap 10 feet in the air. That's quite terrifying,
These guys were jumping over them and attacking them from behind.
That rubber is something else, and no one can decipher what the formula is. If we could ever track him down, I wonder if he'll ever reveal it to us. He's quite elusive.
We have concluded our broadcast schedule for today. Good night.